Hi, it's Therese and I'm back for Altenew, and today I'm going to be using this Oriental Orchid set as well as the matching set of dies. And I'm going to show you what I do sometimes to create lots of flowers all at once, and that way I can have some in my stash ready to go if I need a really quick and easy card to throw together. So I'm using some of the crisp inks, and I'm starting with the Lavender Fields on my first layer, which is actually one of the mid-tone inks. I want these to be fairly bright, these orchids. I just love the colours of orchids. You could just do so many different varieties of colours, and they're such a pretty flower. And these ones are a layering stamp, and that's a really good way of stamping up a lot of images really quickly, because you don't have to take the time of colouring with pencils or markers and blending and everything, so it does make it a lot quicker process. So my second layer I like to stamp out is my outline layer, and that was with the jet black. And then my shadow layer, I'm using the darkest purple colour, which is called a Midnight Violet, a really pretty deep violet colour. So I'm just simply working my way through all the stamps, and these stamps, there's 4 main flowers, and each flower has 4 different stamps to it. So I'm only stamping out 3 sections of the flower at the moment. I'm leaving the center of the flower to do till last, because I'm going to want to emboss that, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So you can see for each flower I'm doing exactly the same thing: base color, outline, and then the shading. And you'll notice that as they dry, they do look a little bit lighter than when you initially first stamp them. Now, because I want to emboss the centers of all the flowers, I'm just adding my powder tool so that the embossing powder only sticks where I want it to. And I'm using some Versamark ink, and each flower has its own center, so they match up really easily. You can just tell by the shape of the actual center which way they go. And I was going to initially use this Wow embossing glitter, which is called, I think it's Midas Touch, but I just didn't like the way it looked when it was embossed. I wanted something a bit brighter. So then I thought I'd try the Zing. This is Lemon. It's an opaque embossing powder, which is great because it actually, when you heat set it, it kind of covers up the colours that are stamped below, so it stands out nice and bright, which is all the look I wanted, so that's what I went with. So now I'm just going to add the centers to all the flowers, and I'll do each set of flowers at once, and just heat set them as I go so I don't accidentally bump the powder off. And having lots of flowers all stamped out ready to go makes a card really quick and easy to put together. And I also thought it'd be a good idea to add a couple of leaves to have in my stash and to use on today's card as well. So stamping these, there's 3 layers to these as well. So starting with the frayed leaf, then the forest glades. Well, first I'll do the black outline stamp. And I don't exactly stamp these particularly well, but by the time I die cut them, you really don't notice. And my shadow layer is the forest glade. So I made sure that when I stamped these out, I did leave a gap between all my flowers and leaves, and that way I can actually do some multiple die cutting. So that means I'm going to save time as well. And I can just, with one die cut, I can cut out 5 different images. So it means a lot less cranking. And then once they're all die cut out, I've got stacks of flowers ready to go. So I have a panel that's cut just a bit smaller than my card front, and I'm stamping out the actual stem image. And the good thing about using a MISTI, or you could use a stamp press for this, is that I can curve the stamp, or if you've got a large block, that would work as well. But what I've done is curve the stamp in the art that I want it to be in. I'm cutting down my panel now into 3 pieces and discarding the center bit that I'm removing, but I just didn't like I didn't like to lose that last bit of brown on my last little panel there, so I actually cut that from the other side, so they all ended up the same width. Now I've got my ATG gun. I'm adding some adhesive tape to the front. This is my top fold card. I'm working straight on the front of that, and I've got some American Crafts. This is the grape cardstock, and I'm just adhering it directly down in front of my card, and then using some long straight scissors to cut the edges away. Very simple, easy way to add some colour to the front of a card. I'm doing the same again with some lilac cardstock now. Adhering that to the front, and then just snip away the bit that I don't want. And by flipping it over, I can see exactly where I need to cut. You could cut this before and then adhere it down. I just was being lazy, I think. But it worked out just fine. Or time efficient, maybe that's what I was being. So I've popped all my panels up now on some fun foam, and I've got some score tape on the back of those, and just taking a bit of the stick off the back and then sitting them in place in the front of the card. And I won't press them down until I'm actually happy with the actual placement of all my panels. And my cardstock's a little bit frayed on the edges. I do need to change my titanium blade over. So this is actually going to be a very clean and simple card, and out of all those flowers and stuff that I stamped, I'm only going to use 3 and one of the leaves. And I've also stamped and embossed sentiment from the same stamp set, and just used some white embossing powder on some black cardstock for that. And now I'm simply just going to add all my flowers to the card front. I'm using some 1mm foam and some 2mm foam as well. And this is, we'll just pop up the flowers that little bit and add some extra dimension. Such a pretty flower set. Altenew do the most amazing floral sets. They are always so stunning. I wanted the leaf to touch the base of the panel, so I did actually add a little bit of stamp runner to the base of that, and then some black 2mm fun foam to the back of my sentiment. And that's my finished card today. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back again real soon. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.